Major moves. We going all in, like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. Making major moves.
Warning, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't blame me or any other random person that gives you some money tips for any of your financial decisions. I provide information based on research that may guide you to taking a deeper look at a particular company. However, in no way am I suggesting to invest or not invest in that company. Your decisions are that of your own. I present information that is readily available on the internet, and I piece together the story to create and provide a more holistic concept to create a bigger picture. This information is for educational purposes only. Ultimately, I'm a guy in a Spider-Man mask, and you should not take financial advice or information from me. All right, we're on. So, thank you guys for joining me wherever you are in the world. I'm Mr. Man, you know me. Down here to my left, we got the host himself. We got Ted from LIFTT Capital. You could please give him a follow on YouTube and on Twitter. Same for myself. Ted, I want to thank you for joining us here for this simple conversation about CBDCs and GSCs and how they are to assume to be function and operate within our society. So what I want to do is have a simple conversation with you and just get your understanding and your take on what they are and how they're going to, I guess, mesh with our reality and our world.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, Mr. Man, thank you for having me on, bro. It's really good to make sure that your audience knows the future of finance. Mm-hmm. I really have to say, man, all the FUD and stuff that I've been seeing around central bank digital currencies come from a place of lack of knowledge. So I think that's what I want to do. I want people to be educated, and I think it's important that everybody knows what we're going to get into.
Absolutely. So essentially, what I want to bring up is the model on how CBDCs work. There's a few models. There's four of them that I've seen. There is the direct model, where it stems directly from the central bank, direct to the end user itself. That's a model that China's been using, and they're still using it now. I'm not sure if they intend to change that model. But then there's the hybrid model, which Canada, US, and most first world countries intend to operate on. And I heard this directly from the horse's mouth. What's her name? Benedict Nolans. And she is from the Hong Kong Monetary Authority section of the BIS out there in China. Mm-hmm. And so that means there's an intermediary. You have the central bank, then you have an intermediary, then you have the end user itself, which that's the model that we are slated to follow. So I want to say that in and of itself eliminates the whole you'll own nothing and be happy. But that's just my take on that. What do you got to say about that?
Let me say, I think that was after the WEF or the IMF, and this is for the new people that are watching, the IMF, WEF, a lot of people are scared of those names, World Bank, IMF, WEF, elites, take over the world and stuff. So, of course, you're going to have a lot of people that are kind of like, nah, why would I buy a crypto that's going to support an evil future and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I really have to say is that, and speaking on those models that you were talking on, that's exactly it. Ever since that statement went out that you'll own nothing and be happy, that put people on 10 because that kind of statement denotes control of my privacy, control of my, my infringing on your human rights. So what I personally think, that perspective to me, what they meant by that is that you, the individual or the retail holder, whoever it might be, that person that's under the control, that's under that control. For example, I'll say universal basic income. Universal basic income is coming. But I'm sure that you notice that there's a lack of men in the workforce. There is, fully automated McDonald's is popping up in Texas, here in the States. So what they're preparing society really for is, again, you'll own nothing and be happy because we're providing everything for you. You don't own anything because we control everything that you have. So with that being said, that's why with that statement, I'm bullish for utility holders because, again, regardless of all this fear that people have, they have to think about it. how is it possible for this to actually work? It's not, just, tyrannical sci-fi movie. They're going to come in and bust down your door. No, what it's going to be is systematic, and that's what they're setting up right now. But there's going to be railways. How can this power actually, or let's say, how can this liquidity, settlement, clearing, how can it actually work? We own the railways, and that's really obviously these central bank digital currencies are going to provide the value.
Absolutely. And I want to say that to the ISO holders out there, myself included, and yourself, we understand the value of what we hold and the infrastructure being created. And in terms of the fear or the FUD that gets put out there, there's fear in terms of right from the very beginning. Like when I first started, let me just give you a little history lesson on who I am. When I first started my journey, it didn't start with cryptocurrencies. It started with the whole, that thing they were trying to scare people with. And I dove down the hole into that. And I got to a point where I was extremely frustrated in my leaving work in my car, and I was hitting the steering wheel. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't keep putting myself through this and learning about all this negativity. There has to be something else better than this. So I figured, okay, let me check out cryptocurrencies. That's the new kid on the block, for me at least. So I got scammed numerous times, man. Like, you would not believe. I lost a good sum of money. And then my partner's like, you know what, why don't you just learn and take the deep dive yourself? And ever since then, man, I haven't come up for air yet. So that being said, CBDCs are one of the things I want to deep dive on because there's so much fear around them. When you hear statements like, you'll own nothing and be happy and we'll have ultimate control. And then there's like quick 10-second snippets of like Carsten Augustine saying we'll have complete control from the BIS, saying we'll have complete control and be able to control this and monitor that. What they're talking about, from my understanding, is the I want to say the proof of concept out in China with how they're using that direct model.
The People's Bank of China, to really speak on the digital yuan, and this for the new people, digital yuan is going to be the most relevant central bank digital currency that's being in operation now. I think they launched it in 2020 at the Winter Games. Do I have that right?
It was. Yeah.
Something around then. So with that being said, China already, what is it? I think the second largest economy or something next to the U.S. Long story short, their development for their CBDC way further than the U.S., way further than any other country, on the globe or whatever. So with that being said, everyone is looking at China. They're looking at China, and basically, again, where all of the fear mongering and speculation comes from is from, social credit scores are going to be coming, social credit scores. That's what I have to say for the audience that is watching, guys. There is going to be a lot of FUD surrounded by fear. That's what the first F is in FUD, is fear. You feel me? Fear stands for false expectations appearing real. So if these false expectations are appearing so real that I'm suddenly uncertain and doubtful about my investment. That's kind of what I want you guys to understand. See, I see it all the time out there on crypto Twitter, all of this baseless fear, because you're uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen. And that's where brothers like me and you, we come in and we're going to do these deep dives. We're gonna put our nose to the ground, do this research, and come back. When we do come back up for air, I got the truth. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Y'all don't have to be uncertain or doubtful.
I got a question to ask you, actually. Where'd that go? So here, I got like all these printouts here. This is Canada's Project Jasper here. They have done 4 phases for that. Yeah. Okay. My life is just deep diving and reading things. Word. But this one statement right here has stuck with me, and I wanted to ask you about it and get your opinion on it. Essentially, what it says, finally, there are broader considerations for central banks arising from user uptake of CBDCs. For example, the use of CBDC as a means of payment and potentially a store of value. Potentially a store of value. Not it is a store of value, but potentially. This was in phase 4. So this is the final phase of their, I want to say, proof of concept in terms of their CBDC for Canada here. So what in terms of implications, what could that imply to you itself? Meanwhile, we're here trying to demystify the fear around that.
Right. So I think that would be more in terms of regulation. Basically when you have clearing and settlement for payments, that's good. But let's just say, for example, we have medical payments, educational payments. We need to have a framework, a regulation that would basically provide entities with guidelines for how these CBDCs can be stores of value. That's what that speaks out to me. That in that white paper, they're already working it out for liquidity, okay? But when we're talking about actual, again, for actual value, I'll say this. You see, CBDCs, some people say it's supposed to be fiat 2.0. I see it as something kind of completely different. I think fiat is going to be out because we're moving towards asset-backed, really a financial system. I say this: have you seen what was going on with the U.S. debt clock? Have you been seeing that on Twitter?
Yeah, I've seen that.
That is a bit now. Either that's a glitch, and that U.S. debt clock, it isn't wrong. That thing is usually running all the time. Those indications tell us that they're going to transition this dollar into something new. And for the people that aren't familiar with it, the U.S. debt clock just recently zeroed out the U.S. dollar value to oil, 0. U.S. dollar value to silver, 0. U.S. dollar value to oil, 0. Big changes, y'all. So that we moving into real asset backing here. So that, man, it's really about, and that's what I was trying to say is, fiat is done. Fiat means money with no value. It's just a government promise. It's just a wink and a handshake from the government. Just, there's no intrinsic value. When you have, for example, this might be a little advanced, but an ESDR, or basically, long story short, a stable coin that was backed by a basket of commodities. And I say, a stable coin, not an audience for the people that are watching, not 1-to-1 to $1. I'm talking about an actual stable coin that can be used for global liquidity. Absolutely. And that's what I think you're hearing a lot of people say for XRP, XLM, XDC, really ISO holders, is because what are we doing? We're holding the railways to this new financial system. And that's the point is really ISO holders, they're not scared. They're not fearful. They're not uncertain and doubtful because we have the truth. We learn.
Absolutely. So I guess continuing on with that thought there, are you aware of the 3 categories that the BIS structures and puts crypto assets in? There's the crypto assets 1A, crypto asset 1B, and then crypto asset 2, group 2. So 1A, so there's three designations with how the BIS categorizes crypto assets. 1A is would store tokenized value. Group 1B is the one that has a stabilization mechanism, something, and the term they use is in quotes, is a pegged value. So for example, 1 USD to 1 ounce of gold. Then you have that 1 ounce of gold is equivalent to that USD, whatever the USD value is at that particular time, is equivalent to 1 crypto asset, whatever that crypto asset is. Then you have group 2, which is everything else, which has a risk, a higher risk. What do they peg? They had it evaluated at 1,250% risk for the banks or for the holders of the issuer of that particular asset itself. So those are the riskier ones. Group 1A and Group 1B are the ones that have assets pegged to them itself. So I'm not trying to put down Bitcoin by any means. Bitcoin has intrinsic value, but in terms of its real world adoption and where it's going to be used, I fail to see the use case in that, especially when the BIS puts out documents like that, and it's a simple read at that point.
I asked you a question. I asked the question: what intrinsic value do you see Bitcoin having?
The intrinsic value I see from it is not intrinsic in terms of I want to hold it because it's gonna go rocket to the moon one day. I hold it because once the regulations come into play and the mass people finally wake up and see that, oh my gosh, cryptocurrencies, we can get Bitcoin now at, say, the Bank of America or the whatever the ETF fund is, they can buy Bitcoin. So for me holding Bitcoin right now, once they finally jump on this, it's going to bring that value up for me, and I can at that point convert my earnings into something else, because that to me is just a standard ETF or a derivative of something else essentially. So that's the value I see from it. Other than that, I don't see too much, unfortunately.
That's what I always really have to say is like when it comes down to, here's the thing with anything with utility, if people use it, it has value, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the thing is like I can sleep comfortably at night knowing the associations that Ripple has, you know, partnerships and whatnot, you know, XLM, XDC, IOTA, Algorand. That's one thing I say on the show, man, is like what we're going over, this is heavy business. This isn't light work. You've been doing your deep dives and you've been in the rabbit hole, bro. You know?
This rabbit hole goes deep. I'm still gasping for air, guy.
Man.
So tell me a bit about yourself, Ted. How long have you been in crypto? Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? Who is Ted, the host himself?
Sure, right on, bro. So originally from LA, I've been in cryptocurrency since 2017. I went to school in Morehouse for marketing, actually. So had a couple businesses and everything. Was really into traditional stocks. Always been into finance, but 2017 was really my introduction. You know, if you look at the market history, that was the first spark into the crypto market. You had a few oncomers in 2013. You know, of course, Bitcoin started in 2009, but 2013, I believe, was when Ethereum got its free pass, or it was in 2017. Regardless, that was a big influx, and I was a part of that one. I used to be, Bitcoin maxi. I've been them all, man. I've been a Bitcoin maxi. I was even on part of the Doge team for a little bit, maybe for about 2 months, bro. Straight up.
Yeah.
And because here's what I have to admit. When I was on the Doge team, it was because I literally understood the whole meme economy thing before it was even popular. This was like back in 2018, 2019. You know what I'm saying? Way before Elon said anything about Doge. So I just, back then I was thinking, wow, this, you know, it's just so dumb it might work. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
You feel me? So obviously it's people that still feel that way. But regardless though, man, I got to doing my deep diving. I saw the volatility of the Bitcoin price and I'm like, look, bro, I can't, there's more to this. You feel me? There's more to it. So I got to looking into like real assets, who's really involved with cryptocurrency. Of course, you find out XRP, and then you go down that rabbit hole. Found out about the ISO 20022 big picture, and that's where we are now. I've been on ISO since October 21.
Good for you, man. That's a good amount of time to be collecting at that point.
For sure.
So,
and I mean, look, let me say this. Since I've been putting that out there, I'm sure you've been seeing a lot of sources and stuff. I'm not saying we pridefully say it that we started the whole wave, but we're the source, okay? Like the whole ISO community and everything. I'm not saying we're the know-it-all, but we put it out there. Just gotta say.
Respect for that, man. Respect for you. My first, I want to say, real dive into crypto. I was in an aviation group on Telegram, and that was all about the whole, you know, the beer flu. And somebody, for whatever reason, had done a screen record and posted a video of Coach JV in there from the 3T Warriors. And that was my first Ripple excerpt. What is this thing? So I figured that was my start. I started directly with the top ISO at that point.
Yeah.
So I feel blessed to be where I am right now. I feel blessed to have encountered your YouTube channel. And I remember when I just had, I'm not sure if you remember, I had my picture of my dog as my avatar at that point. But when I was able to catch your lives, man, I felt blessed to come after work and be like, all right, it's time to learn. It's time to learn something. So it's been honestly, it's been an honor following you, following some of the people that I follow, and learning from, you know, the nuggets that you drop, because you drop pure gold. And I don't know if you recognize the nuggets that you drop, but honestly, I take it in and it's solid gold. I'm here now as one of the new cats in the scene here, and I drop some decent knowledge. I consider it decent, but in terms of the connections you make and the way your mind just finds these things, I don't understand it, and I won't profess to. So I can sit here and give you my appreciation for that.
Bro, that really touches my heart, because I have to be honest with you, man. You're in such a blessed position because you like you said, you had to get your boo-boos and scrapes, you know, you got scammed and stuff, but you find yourself on the top tier, man. You find yourself not having to deal with years and years of meme coins, AMAs, airdrops, just to find
the real solution.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of, obviously, dude, there's over 22,000 cryptocurrencies, I believe, listed on CoinMarketCap. 98% of them are garbage. That's just a fact. 98% of these projects, they're not legitimately going anywhere. So when you can find something that even the governments, policymakers, jurisdictions, a whole ISO standard, I don't have to worry about an airdrop or an AMA and all that stuff. I found out the future.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
So,
you feel me? So
I find it very interesting that you have the entities like the FSB, the Financial Stability Board, you have FATF, Financial Action Task Force, and how these entities came about. I posted a video just yesterday, and they talk about what they do and their governance and their role they play in terms of cryptocurrency and who they are. And essentially what they are is an entity comprised of various central banks and other governing bodies itself to form this entity which as we know now is the governing body for the crypto regulations coming out. You know, and recently I stumbled across Michael Shu, I believe his name is, the comptroller of financing. Have you heard of him?
I think so. I'm trying to think. I've come across the article. Go ahead.
Okay, so essentially, what he was talking about in one of his videos was stablecoins, and a lot of people, I want to say, have misconceptions around what stablecoins are and how they work. You have a stablecoin, for instance, like Luna C or Luna T, whatever it's called, and that itself was an algorithmic stablecoin. So they've done studies on algorithmic stablecoins. I want to say that particular stablecoin was legitimately implanted there, so they can study that and find out how it works and find out ways to attack it and collapse that, because essentially you couldn't use something like that in a working economy like we have. They're doing studies right now still on BUSD. They're doing studies on USDT and USDC, and one of the main things I find very interesting is USDT itself is not interoperable, and it only exists within the crypto realm itself. So you and me in our real world, we couldn't go make payments and pay that or settle that within USDT. It's just behind the scenes in cryptocurrency realm. Meanwhile, but
you can with USDC though.
You can, absolutely you can. Right. They're actually utilizing it right now out in Ukraine for the refugees. You're aware of this, right?
That's right, through Stellar.
Yeah. So one of the big things that I keep hearing talk about is interoperability and ubiquity. You know, the taglines they talk about.
Oh yes, interoperability is huge. Did you to speak on stablecoins though? I wanted to give it a little bit of a background what you were saying about with Luna. That's exactly it, bro. You are spot on with Do Kwon. You can see really the history with Luna, how it had its, just parabolic run out of nowhere, right? You can see the history of it all. You know, Luna, Moon, people were just running off of it. We were saying it. Do Kwon was the black swan of 2022. That was what it was. But it wasn't just one singular event. When people hear Do Kwon, black swan, you think, oh, it was just that implosion and that's just the event. No, all of 2022 was the black swan. You have FTX, Luna, 3AC, Voyager, Celsius, all of those exchanges, all just one by one, taken down. Like you said, the UST, that Luna stablecoin, right there for everyone to see its implosion, so the regulators can study. Here's one thing I was bringing up a point yesterday. You remember when the Luna implosion happened? You remember there was talks going around that this was a systematic attack from like Wall Street or something like that? Yeah. And then like maybe 48 hours later, nobody was really talking about it. That was the truth right there. That was pretty much it right there. That was the start of the whole thing. But really, it had its ties to FTX, had its ties to Alameda and everything like that. But stablecoins, what I want your audience to know, when it comes down to stablecoins, the Luna example is the old definition. You make a good point. Stablecoin, that's what the regulators and governments are working on now. It's exactly how we can have stablecoins work in the civilian area. You can pay for your Starbucks, USDC, or whatever. Digital dollar. They're working on that API interface setting. So what I'm saying here is that if you actually have a crypto market that's actually being held up by a stable coin, quote unquote, stable coin that partners with the DOJ. I'm getting a little deeper in here. Okay, I'm talking about Tether. All right, Tether. Department of Justice partner holding up the crypto market. If you remove that liquidity, that is the ultimate change that you can see for stables. You understand what I'm saying? Who's recognized right now by the World Bank and IMF for as a stablecoin for the audience that didn't know? XRP and XLM.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new definition of a stablecoin. And when we say stablecoin, it's stability, not one-to-one algorithmic back peg one-to-one, because we know that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Tether has a shaky peg. Tether, I'll tell you something. You guys can check, double check me on this. You go on crypto.com, Tether will tell you, or excuse me, crypto.com will tell you Tether's value is 98 cents. Who's lying? Who's lying?
Yeah.
You feel me?
Good point.
So I just say, stablecoins and CBDCs.
Another thing I want to bring up too, so the term stablecoin, it actually goes beyond that too. You've heard of global stablecoin?
Tell me more.
So a global stablecoin, essentially that term itself, they call it so-called stablecoin, which is a global stablecoin. That term itself was coined during one of the projects that the BIS is working with, the Bank of International Settlements out in Swiss, and the BIS out in the Hong Kong, along with, I want to say Thailand, I believe it to be. They're working on Project Enbridge for the to move the wholesale CBDC itself. So to move the back end or the wholesale CBDC, you need a coin that can facilitate a global movement. So at that point, the term global stablecoin was made. And when I look at...
Well, that's exactly what that would be, like a universal stablecoin, XRP,
mm-hmm. So when I think about that, I want to pair that with Project Aurum, which came out, and I want to say in October, I believe it was, 2022. Which operates on the two-tier system that we were talking to previous to this. So you have the back end, which would be the Project Enbridge, which facilitates the movement of the global stablecoin to all the central banks necessary. And when it's on the cusp, coming to the front end at that point, through interoperability, it would at that point move from a WCBDC to an RCBDC, which is a retail CBDC. Now that it's in the retail section, at that point, I want to say another global stablecoin is utilized at that point, because XRP is not utilized for the front end of things, for the you and me of the world. At that point, it now converts to the people's coin, which is XLM. Thank you.
So we're right on point, bro. We're right on point. At this point, it's about getting this message out there. That's it. The truth. That's the thing about the truth, man. You could say it and leave it, and it'll still stand.
It's interesting. I was talking to a buddy the other day, and I was trying to tell him about cryptocurrency, and he's like, you can't take your crypto to my fiat dollar. My fiat dollar is always going to be here. In my head, I started thinking, and then out loud, I'm like, why would you want your fiat dollar to be here? It's backed by nothing. He's like, well, this is my money given by the government. I'm like, exactly. That's why it holds no value. But he doesn't see it nor understand it, nor does he want to understand what's going on with the fiat dollar.
That last part. Your boy sees it. He knows that these dollars are soulless. He knows that money has no backing, nothing behind it, no life. But you said that right. And I don't and if your homeboy is watching this, God bless you. But when new information comes that can help you and your brain instantly rejects it, it's called cognitive dissonance. Okay? Cognitive dissonance. If that's your homie, he should know that you care about him. He's, you're not trying to change his life or take anything from him. You're just trying to put something in his life. I go through it every time, all day. This is the truth. We have it right, and it's others, their choice if you're going to accept it or not. It's not going to change what these banks going to do. It's not going to change Project Jasper. Sure, it's going to change Project Movement. Probably, it's not going to change what these central banks are going to be doing with these stable coins, and how we're going to come up being a part of holding the actual railways for these things. So can't save everybody.
And that's unfortunate. I want to carry as many people as I can, and legit, that's one of the reasons why I continue to do what I do. Because I want to save as many people as I can, family included, friends included, and even people I don't know. That's why I put out what I do on Twitter. That's why I continue to build and grow and scale, if you will.
Let me say, bro, keep on going with the Spider-Man theme. Before you were saying you had the picture with your dog and everything. I'll admit it. I don't even remember that. After you started going with Spider-Man and stuff, you're coming up. People are starting to notice your content is great, bro. Your content is great. I admit yesterday, after I did all my news updates, I think you went over a G30 official publication. We've gone over it months ago, but you're bringing up some of the juicers, you know, some of the old hits we've done a couple months ago and stuff. You'll bring it up. People need to know about this stuff, man. People really do.
Absolutely. You know, Ted, I've enjoyed this conversation. I don't want to hold you too long here. I want to thank you for the time you provided for myself and for the audience out here. I will definitely give you a copy of this so you can keep it and share this with your family, your group as well.
Sir.
Thank you for your time. I figured we could call this here and just keep a nice, short, concise conversation.
Sure. No, man, I enjoyed myself. I'm looking forward to your channel growing. I think you're doing a great thing. I think it's important that our community continues to stand for the truth. You know what I mean? A lot of people are scared. A lot of the information that we went over today is going to go over a lot of people's heads. But I think people need to understand that when you take the time, maybe 10 minutes out of the day, to really do your own homework and understand what these assets are about, you'll gain confidence in your investment. And you know, not feel like you had a little bit of I don't know about these guys. Are they trying to scam me? All that. No. Just do your own research. We'll direct you, or at least, you know, I'm sure, Mr. Man, you'll do that. You follow him over on Twitter. Follow these official publications that we put out there, okay? Just do your own research. I'm telling you what, I already know most people don't, so you're going to have to do it. I'm speaking to you, listener. You're going to have to do it for yourself.
Absolutely. So before we cut off here, I want to ask you guys to give Ted a follow. Follow him at Twitter. I have his Twitter down below there. Give him a follow on YouTube. I believe it's the same name as well. LIFTT Capital. 2 T's in LIFTT.
Yes, sir.
Life is for the taking. LIFTT Capital.
The taking.
Ted, thank you for your time, my man.
Thank you, sir. Holler at you later.
All right.
Peace.
Making major moves. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves.